Muntakab Ahadith. Contents and Preface. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is the book containing the 6 chapters of Tablighi Jamaat, which contains subject-based authentic hadiths. The original author is Maulan Yusuf Kandhalvi Rahimahullah, compiled and translated by Maulan Saad Kandhalvi Hafizahullah. In this episode, we will read the table of contents and introduction to this book. So, let's start. Let us take a look at the table of contents to see what hadiths we can learn from this book. In the chapter, Kalima Tayyiba, there has Iman, belief in the unseen, belief in the hereafter, success in compliance with Allah's commandments. In the chapter, Salah prayers, there has Fard obligatory prayers, Salah in congregation, Sunnah and Nafila non-obligatory prayers, Khushu and Kudu fear and devotion in prayers, virtues of wudu ablution, the AML deeds and Fadail virtues of the masjid. In the chapter, Ilam and Zikr, knowledge and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there has Ilm, knowledge, inspiration by Quran and Hadith, Jikir, remembrance of Allah Ta'ala, virtues of Al-Quran, virtues of remembering Allah Ta'ala, Dua supplication and Jikr remembrances, as narrated from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. In the chapter Ikramul Muslim, generously fulfilling the rights of Muslims, there has the dignity of Muslim, excellence of conduct, the rights of Muslims, strengthening the bonds of kinship, warning against harming Muslims, reconciling differences amongst Muslims, helping Muslims. In the chapter Ikhlas, sincerity of intention, there has sincerity of intention, belief in promises of Allah and hope of rewards, condemnation of Riya deeds with intention of being seen. In the chapter Dua and Tabligh, inviting towards Allah and conveying His message, there has Da'wat and its virtues, virtues of going out in the path of Allah, the etiquettes and deeds of the path of Allah. In the chapter Avoiding the Irrelevant, there has Avoiding the Irrelevant, glossary, bibliography. Now let's read the preface of this book.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalawatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen, wa khatamin nabiyyin Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin wa da'a bi da'watihim ila yawmiddin, amma ba'd.
All praises to the Sustainer of the worlds, and grace, honor and salutations on the Chief of Apostles and Seal of Prophets, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his family, companions and those who followed him in an excellent fashion and invited mankind towards Allah till the day of resurrection. This is a reality which can be stated without any ambiguity and exaggeration, that in the Islamic world of today the most powerful, useful and all-encompassing effort is the struggle of the Tablighi Jamaat, whose center is situated at the Tablighi Markaz Nizamuddin, Delhi, India. The scope of this effort and its impact is not restricted to the Indian subcontinent or Asia, but extends to many continents and to a host of Islamic and non-Islamic states. The history of such campaigns and revolutionary or reformative movements shows that, after passage of a period of time, or when the scope of the effort enlarges greatly, especially when, by means of it, the attainment of certain advantages and leadership becomes apparent, then such weaknesses, unwanted objectives and neglect of the original goals set in, which reduce or even totally wipe out the true influence of the work. Note that, in this assertion and testimony, there is no negation of the importance of all those useful efforts and movements which cater to the reality and needs of the present times, and which also create the ability to counter the prevailing trials and tribulations. Here, the objective is only to acknowledge and highlight the effectiveness and vastness of the efforts being made from the Tablighi Dawat and its movement in a positive manner. However, the Tablighi effort, as far as the knowledge and observations of the writer go, has, to a large extent, been saved from these tribulations up to now. It is quite evident that the nature of this movement is based on giving others priority over oneself, despite one's dire needs, a passion for sacrifice, a quest for the pleasure of Allah, a desire for reaping rewards in the hereafter, respect and honor of Islam and Muslims, humility and submissiveness to Allah, the proper fulfillment of religious obligations, with a desire for further advancement, a preoccupation with the remembrance of Allah, refraining as far as humanly possible from unprofitable and unnecessary preoccupations and undertaking protracted journeys, while enduring all sorts of hardships for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have become a regular practice. These special characteristics and distinctions of this work attributable to the sincerity of its first preacher Sheikh Muhammad Ilyas Rahmatullahi alayh, his preoccupation with Allah, his prayers, struggle, sacrifice, and above all, the acceptance of this work by Allah the Exalted. Beside this, it is also a consequence of those principles and preconditions which were declared essential by its first preacher from its very inception, and on which he always insisted and propagated. To think about the meanings and responsibilities inherent in the kalima, to acquire knowledge of the virtues of fulfilling all forms of obligatory worship, a consciousness of the virtues of knowledge and the remembrance of Allah, along with a preoccupation with the remembrance of Allah, respect for Muslims with an appreciation and fulfillment of their rights, to correct the motives behind every action, so that it is done sincerely and solely for the pleasure of Allah, to refrain from all that is irrelevant, and an enthusiasm and consciousness of the virtues of traveling in the path of Allah. These are those elements and characteristics which have protected this movement from becoming a political, material organization geared for obtaining material benefits, fame, and authority, and it has remained a purely religious movement aimed at attaining the pleasure of Allah. These principles and elements, which have been considered essential for this movement, have been derived from the Quran and Sunnah. They serve as its guardians to obtain the pleasure of Allah and protect Deen religion, and their sources are the Quran and prophetic practices and traditions. There was thus a need that all the relevant Quranic verses and Ahadith prophetic practices and sayings be compiled in a book. Praise be to Allah, that the second preacher of this movement of inviting towards righteousness, Sheikh Muhammad Yusuf, son of the first preacher, Sheikh Ilyas Rahmatullahi alayh, who had a very profound and comprehensive knowledge of books of Hadith, has collected all the relevant principles, rules, and precautions from their original sources in the form of a book. He has been so comprehensive and extensive that this book is not merely a compilation of these principles, rules, and instructions, but perhaps an encyclopedia, in which, without being selective or brief, all of these have been mentioned with their relative importance. It is perhaps the will of Providence that the writer's fortunate and worthy grandson Sheikh Saad, may Allah prolong his life and bless him with further works of this nature, has assumed the responsibility of publishing this book for general benefit. May Allah Ta'ala grant acceptance to this effort and service, and make it most beneficial. And this is not hard for Allah.
وما ذلك على الله بعزيز.
Abul Hassan Ali Nadavi Daira Shah Alamullah, Rai Barali UP. 20 Zul Qada 1418 Hijri.